So I wasn't really expecting anything to happen. So I kind of forgot about it for an hour or two. And then I started to hear some whispers.
Qualifying is going to be pretty chaotic, I guess, for your first F1 qualifying, do you think?
Yeah, but it's just like F2, so it's fine.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the WTF1 podcast. We've got a very special episode for you today where we're speaking to F1's newest addition to the grid. Of course, there are some special circumstances with the fact Lewis Hamilton has COVID, so we wish him all the best in a speedy recovery. But that's allowed a man that we've known for a very long time. We've done videos with him in the past. And it's Mr. Jack Aitken. Jack, F1's newest hot star on the grid. You probably weren't expecting this, but at the same time, it's here. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. It is very unexpected, to say the least. I got the call like 24 hours ago, pretty much. No, a bit more. It was 2 days ago initially when the news came out about Lewis. And initially, to be honest, I didn't think anything of it because they have their designated reserve drivers. But obviously, being the end of the year and it's slightly special circumstances, George got called up. So here we are.
We'll go into the full how you found out a little bit later on. But of course, Tommy's here as well, who he said he feels like a proud dad or a proud parent right now. Tommy, is that right?
A little bit, yeah. When you got announced, firstly, my reaction was obviously pure joy. And then I was looking through some pictures to post, to do my proud dad post on Instagram about you. And if anyone doesn't know, 2015 was when we first started chatting and stuff. And it was Silverstone 2015. I remember you were running the WTF1 stickers on your Formula Renault Euro Cup car, I believe it was, or Formula Renault 2.0. And now we're chatting on the WTF1 podcast with you as an F1 driver. Unbelievable. Fun times, eh?
That does actually kind of match with the proud parent thing, because Jack's there like, stop talking, Tommy. And Tommy's like, I'm so happy. I'm so happy for you.
You're embarrassing me.
Let's Tommy kind of alluded it to there, but let's throw it back to the very beginning. Jack, did you ever, I'm sure you imagined it, but did you ever think that Formula One would be an opportunity earlier on in your career? Were there any sort of hiccups where you thought this wouldn't be possible?
I don't know. I think I wouldn't say I've ever felt like, that's it, my chance is gone, or going the other way. It's such a long journey to get to Formula One for anybody, and I've spent the last couple of years as a reserve driver, so there's been that added element of you always know that the chance is at any moment you could get called in, so you kind of have to be ready all the time. But then you're just constantly sitting on the sidelines waiting, so it's kind of a weird place to be stuck in limbo. And to actually now be in that position is slightly surreal. But I'm keeping myself busy. If I keep myself busy, then I can't, think about it for too long, and then I won't get too excited. So
apart from when plebs like us ask you how you're feeling, and you're like, "Stop it! I'm trying to be busy here.
I am focused."
Yeah, I'm guessing your family and stuff as well. Are you trying to sort of keep that out of your mind and just focus on the job ahead rather than thinking too much of oh my god, I'm in F1?
It's not too bad. My dad's here with me because he was here to watch the F2 anyway. And obviously he's pretty excited. My mum and my brother back home are extremely excited. Lots of friends and lots of people close to me getting in touch, congratulating me. And I don't mind it too much. It's a lot of messages to answer. Phone's been blowing up since yesterday, but it's really nice actually to see all the people coming in with some support, and I'm really excited about it. I'm not feeling too overwhelmed or anything by it, just approaching it like any other weekend. I've luckily been around Williams enough that I'm really comfortable with the team and all the people, which means that it doesn't feel so weird walking into the paddock and cracking on with engineering briefings and doing the seat fit and all of that. So it's felt quite normal, strangely. So I've been waiting for this moment. Yeah.
It's awesome, and I've heard a few rumours that that the deciding factor was the tips you learnt from me in our karting series, but I can't confirm or deny that, to be honest.
Don't keep anything confidential.
Breaking news!
I did actually see a comment on. I can't remember if it was on Williams' announcement post or if it was on my post on Instagram. But it was just one guy who was like, "Is that the guy who told WTF1 how to go karting?"
The other way around. Just when the cameras were rolling, I was like,
defining career moment was the karting series. Yeah,
that's what you're known for. That's your number one part of your brand, mate. To be honest,
can't argue with that.
So let's talk about how it actually all unfolded then for you. You mentioned that you found out a couple of days ago. Where were you? Were you in the bath? What was occurring? And yeah, that also. What basically just run us through it.
I can't remember exactly when the news about Lewis broke. It was quite early in the day, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah. It was about 8 a.m. or something.
Yeah, so I think I was even just waking up and I was reading the news and looking at it being like, oh, that's weird. That's just classic 2020 things. But I didn't really think any more of it because, like I said earlier, we've talked about this before between George and myself and Williams, and George is a Williams driver, first and foremost, and Mercedes have other drivers lined up ready to go should they need them. So I wasn't really expecting anything to happen, so I kind of forgot about it for an hour or two. And then I started to hear some whispers that, well, Mercedes have wrapped up both championships. Maybe they want to, give George a chance and try something different. And obviously that would then mean I would get the seat at Williams. So I started talking to the guys at Williams and saying, is there a chance that this is going to happen? And they just sit tight. We'll come back to you. We're looking at all the options. I was like, okay. And then 7 hours later, it's like, God, when are they going to tell me? And that later that evening, they said it's 90% done, but we're just waiting on a few things. We'll let you know in the morning. And then yesterday morning, obviously I was up bright and early. And
did you get much sleep?
I actually slept pretty well, yeah.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Okay.
90%, sat on 90%, sure you might be making your F1 debut and then have to try and sleep.
Yeah, I like my sleep, so...
You do. We know because of the 24-hour kart race we did when you disappeared for...
Look, if you want...
I'll be back in a few hours.
If you want a driver performing at their best, they need to be well rested. I would not do well at the moment.
I'll be back in a few hours, guys. Comes back in 7 hours.
I guess you mentioned earlier about the fact that it feels kind of normal because I guess you're there with Williams anyway. You've got all your gear. I guess it's very different to someone like Hulkenberg or even George, scrambling to get Mercedes kit in their size and everything. Whereas I guess you've had your FP1 running before, so I'm assuming you're a lot more prepped maybe from that kind of side of things.
Certainly compared to someone like Nico, who was hadn't raced at all or driven at all this year. George is obviously a slightly different situation. I think he knows everyone at Mercedes very well. And yeah, there's a few things to sort out, like getting his seat fit done and stuff like that. But I think he's fairly well prepared for that chance. And I am obviously very well prepared at Williams. So, it is my job basically to be ready for this situation. So it would be a bit criminal if I wasn't. But it's just been a case of dusting off a few bits and bobs, like my helmet from the FP1 earlier in the year in Austria, making sure that everything is still as I want it to be. And then really getting on top of some of the rule differences between F2 and F1. Not that there's many, but I've obviously I've done a lot of testing, but I've never done quali and I've never done a race. So getting on top of those differences and making sure I won't slip up on any of the small details is pretty much the main bit of prep that I've got to do.
So you mentioned, obviously, you came out and said that you've been ready for this opportunity since Melbourne. What do you mean by this? And I know you said it in terms of learning about the rules and stuff, but in terms of actually being physically ready, obviously F2 is less strenuous than F1. Have you just kept your body at an F1 grade standard so that there's no kind of rushing to be like, oh God, my neck's not ready?
Yeah, that kind of is part of the that's part of the game. You always, I can't, I don't know where this comes from, but I've always been told you should be physically ready for the next step up, whatever category you're racing in. So if you're racing in F3, you need to be ready for F2. If you're racing in F2, you need to be ready for F1. And it's a pretty good rule to live by. I think there's only so much you can do in the gym. I do feel ready, and I've been making sure that I wouldn't get a nasty shock if I did have to do this. Having said that, I'm sure my neck will be a little bit sore after Friday because you just can't replicate the kind of force that you get in the car in the same way. But I feel, yeah, as ready as I can be.
What do you think's the biggest challenge from jumping in from F2 to F1? Because I guess you've done that in Austria, where you actually did kind of both. Do you reckon it's easier that you can just focus fully on F1 rather than the change?
Yeah, definitely. I think that Austria weekend was quite tough because I literally went from FP1 to 15 minutes later driving the F2 car and preparing my race weekend in that car, which is very different. So there was almost like you're preparing for 2 weekends instead of just one. So now I've got all of today. I'm going to go to the track after this and settle in with the engineers, get all of the media stuff done, and just I'll have plenty of time to get prepared. So it feels a bit more calm than the last time I was in the car.
Right, so we've gathered, Jack, you're ready for this. You've got your body's ready, your mind is ready, you've got your sleep. Lovely stuff. Let's now talk about the Bahrain outer circuit. There's a lot of hype about the fact that it's an oval, although it's definitely not an oval. What do you think of the track? And I mean, is it probably the track that you would have liked to have the most because it's so simple that you don't really have to adjust too much?
Any idiot can drive around there. No, it's a good point actually, because it being such a short track, there is less of it to learn. Having said that, it's half of it is new to everybody as well, so it's kind of a bit more of a level playing field. I think it's going to be quite interesting watching how the track progresses from FP1 going into Saturday and Sunday, because I went around quickly yesterday, and it is very dirty and very dusty in places just because it hasn't been used yet. So I think there's a lot of potential to make mistakes and get caught out. There's also a couple of curbs that we've not seen before, and it's going to be interesting, and it's definitely going to be a bit of a traffic jam in qualifying as well. That's clear. If you space 20 cars out evenly across I think it's a 3.5 kilometer circuit. If you space everyone out evenly, it's something like a 3-second gap between 2 or 3 second gap between cars, which is not enough for a Formula One car, and we will not be spaced evenly. So it's going to be pretty hectic in Q1.
It's a segue for you there, Tommy, isn't it? That was literally our next question.
Yeah, I guess qualifying, we saw what it was like at Monza, I guess, as well. Not just the traffic, but also everyone's going to want a nice slipstream. Qualifying is going to be pretty chaotic, I guess, for your first F1 qualifying, do you think?
Yeah, but it's just like F2, so it's fine. Genuinely. So, I mean, it will be quite chaotic, and it's I think especially the middle part of the lap on that new layout, because it's quite thin and quite high speed, and there's a lot of sequence corners, it can be quite difficult to get out of the way. So I think you'll definitely see people getting penalties for impeding. So avoiding that will be really important. But otherwise, I think it's just keeping your wits about you and reacting to what's in front of you. It's going to be difficult for anybody to get a clear lap. So you just have to make the best of it.
Yeah, so I mean, on that, I suppose, obviously I don't want you to give away the master plan, which I'm sure you have locked away in a safe, but in terms of, will there be particular strategies such as, because you think that, okay, first out the pits, you probably have a good chance of getting one clean lap in, but then at the same time, you might not be benefiting from the slipstream, which could be quite beneficial as well. So do you kind of see that slipstream will be more effective than being affected by the dirty air around such a simple track like this?
Definitely. I think people will be looking for a tow. Some teams might even decide to try and coordinate a tow. I don't know I don't know how it's going to play out. There's so many unknowns, and some teams may feel that it's just not worth the risk and the potential mess of looking for a tow, and just go it alone and do a clean lap, and that might be the quicker way as well. So I'm sure we'll see some different strategies, and it'll be quite interesting. But yeah, we'll see.
What do you think's the, I guess, realistic target for you this weekend as a whole, going into your first race?
Well, I reckon if I can beat George in the Mercedes,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that means I can just keep the seat. So
I thought
that's in the contract, right? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't do all the paperwork, but yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. No, I think for me, it's getting up to speed ASAP in the practice sessions on Friday, and then I have to follow Nicky's lead a little bit, because he's obviously spent the whole year in the car. I think I would really like to be able to put up a good showing and just as close as possible as we can get to points. We're really close to Haas in the Constructors' Championship. As a team, I think it's an opportunity this weekend because of the chaos that we might see. So we just have to be in a position to pick up the pieces, and that means just, like I said, learning as quickly as possible. And if I can be hovering in the midfield, ready to pick up the pieces, that would be mega.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Now, this question probably Tommy should be asking, because he put a tweet out. Was it yesterday or the day before, Tommy? Just basically being like, stickers. Jack, have you taken any WTF1 stickers to just accidentally slap on the car and just drive out the pits?
It in on the chassis. Well, apparently there's this thing called a contract and so on and such forth.
What's that? Never heard of it. I thought it was just like a sort of like paint by numbers thing. You just kind of stick when you want, and no, is that not how it works?
I think it's because you haven't sent Williams enough cookies.
That's clearly what it is.
On the internet, you guys pay me in cookies, don't you?
Yeah.
So,
well, maybe they don't like cookies. Who knows?
More confidential information coming out from this call.
And in terms of getting up to speed, I guess finally from me and the car and the step up from F2 to F1, what will be the biggest challenge for you? Is it learning all the different knobs on the steering wheel, because there's a lot of them, and all the mappings and everything else like that? Have you just been sat there just learning? Is there like a manual that you've been going through?
There is a manual, but I know it already because I've been in this position with COVID before of maybe you'll be required to jump in the car. So I know as much as I can about the car. There's probably just a few bits that I'm not as familiar with because, like I mentioned before, I've done testing, but there are some things that you just never do in testing that are required on a race weekend. Like, practice starts and figuring out what to do for the formation lap, quality situations. So those are the things that I'll be getting more familiar with. But apart from that, I know the knobs on the steering wheel pretty well, so it should be okay.
I would definitely press the wrong button. Okay, cool. That sounds good. Tommy, have you got any other questions?
No, I'm all good. Best of luck. And obviously, we're Team WTF1 will be rooting for you as always.
Absolutely. We'll be, the full force of our memes will be behind you. And if you get a podium, I'm expecting a big thank you to WTF1.
Yeah. If you get a podium, you're holding up the WTF1 sticker. That surely that.
just gets it out of his boot and then just there
stick
it is.
It on the trophy.
Yeah, hang on, David. I just need to get my equipment.
Love that. Well, Jack, we're so unbelievably proud to see you in Formula One this weekend. We're so excited to see how you get on, and just enjoy it, mate. Just enjoy it. We'll be rooting for you, as Tommy said.
I will. Thank you, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Enjoy it, mate.
Cheers.